It is.
Give me a hell yeah.
Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo. They tell you what they know. Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo. The podcast that you know. Deuce and Mo.
Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo. They tell you what they know.
Do it for Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. Hey. Do it for Deuce and Mo. When it comes to the Kings, it's my favorite show. Do it for Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. Hey. Do it for Deuce and Mo. When it comes to the Kings. Big hopes and dreams as we cover our kings. Never cover the kingdom, but we loving our kings. And we covered your prayers as we doing our thing. Big Deuce with the par, Lil Mo on the screen. Solo or together, still do it for team. Never switch up for $1 or revenue stream. So we always got each other, balance out the beam. Deuce and Mo, and that's
The end of the theme song.
Do it for Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo.
We are live!
Do it for Deuce.
Happy Wednesday, the day before the start of NBA free agency. That's probably already started because Jalen Brunson is going to the Knicks, and the NBA doesn't bat an eye. It just happens, right?
Doesn't bat an eye.
They clear all this room and reaching an agreement. But hey, welcome everybody. How we doing on Wednesday?
What up, Deuce?
Hey.
Oh.
Hey, Morgan.
Hey, hey.
I'm rooting for y'all.
We love you. Let's go, Kings.
Oh, yes.
Mo.
You're feeling good today, huh?
I mean, I feel great every day.
Okay. How's the chat doing? Good to see Carlos from Mexico City in the chat today. We had a couple people asking us before we get the podcast started, hey, what's the plan for free agency?
Oh.
What's the plan for free agency?
Oh.
We will be live tomorrow. Projected start time tomorrow is 2 p.m.
Okay.
And how long will we be on?
However long the stream controls us.
Could be 4 hours. Could be 5, could be 6, could it be 8? Depends on all the action. It's not going to be 8. It's not going to be 8. But we're definitely going to be on and just reacting to all the deals.
Joey's wondering what's happening tomorrow. Oh, and he figured it out. Free agency.
Yeah, 3 p.m. is the official start of free agency on the West Coast. So we'll be live reacting to all of the deals. Sound fun?
Sounds amazing.
What are you doing over there? You're
Telling people?
just now tweeting out that we're
No,
live.
I already had it tweeted
and
out.
we have Jerry Reynolds coming up in a
an
few.
extra tweet.
Oh, okay.
Is there an ish?
No, it's fine.
Is there an ish?
Before I get things started, can you all do us a favor right now? Make sure to hit the thumbs up button in the YouTube chat. All it does is help our channel grow. Also, you could subscribe, get those numbers up as the chase is on for 8,000.
Ooh.
Let's go.
That's exciting.
Roman says, Juice and Mo, you guys going to be at the Chase Center for the California Classic? No, we will not. Taking a breather for a few days. Well, I'll be watching the games, but taking a breather for a few days, holiday weekend, and then headed to Vegas July 8th.
Yeah, we'll be back. Days. We'll be back the following week, but it'll probably be not on your birthday on the 6th, right?
It's just a birthday. We could do a Deuce birthday celebration on my birthday and devote the entire, maybe do a 12-hour stream with just like, you can plan out a ton of guests, just kind of celebrating me a little bit.
I don't think we could get a lot of people for that.
Okay.
Deuce, it's your parents.
We got another Carlos in the chat. That's not funny.
I'm sorry.
There will be no signings. We would be lucky to keep our assets. We have no cap, and I don't see any trades being done.
Oh,
Carlos, look at me and look at me good right now.
Looking?
I didn't say tomorrow is a Kings free agency watch party. It's an NBA free agency watch party. Because, yes, we talk a lot Kings, but we also love the NBA, and I love movement. I love trades. I like to see what teams are doing. I'm not expecting fireworks from the Kings day one of free agency because they don't have a ton of cap space. In fact, they don't have any. They've got the full mid-level, the biannual. They don't have a lot of room to operate. So as far as your last point about trades, we'll see if you're right. I think they're going to be active on the trade front.
Cameron says, Deuce sounds a little sick today.
I got to be honest, feel the same as yesterday, which is not good. All right, let's stop wasting time, I guess. I guess we can actually start the podcast.
Stop wasting my time.
Deuce and Mo coming down. I'm sorry. Do you hear me?
Yeah, you're good, bro.
Let me take a swig of coffee.
Yeah, caffeine, coffee, so good for you when you're sick.
Yeah. When you're sick, what you really need to do, doctor's orders, Americano ad shot. It's great.
Don't move a muscle and drink coffee.
Yeah. It's a little cold. I'll be fine. Deuce and Mo coming down. 3, 2, 1. Hit my music.
Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. They tell you what they know. Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. The podcast that you know.
Welcome into the Deuce and Mo podcast on the eve of free agency in the NBA. Rumors are flying. What's real, what's not? I guess we'll find out soon. We got a big podcast today. The one and only Jerry Reynolds will stop by as we'll talk about Kings offseason, what he thought about the draft. I actually had a chance to catch up with him for an hour yesterday, but
why didn't you just record it?
I honestly should have just hit record on it, but excited to have Jerry on the podcast again. Morgan, how the hell are you?
Fantastic on this Wednesday morning.
Why do you have to do the cliche? Fantastic on this Wednesday.
Well, because...
Are you really fantastic?
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
I love life. I feel somewhat decent.
Nothing like toxic positivity to start your day.
Excuse me. Wait. Well, why can't I be happy today?
You're really happy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like I'm not going to be soon. What? Why? What's wrong with being a happy person? If you wake up happy, be the happy person that you are. Just do it. Be you. Be happy.
All right. I maybe I'm just misreading the situation.
Should I be pissed off
No,
about something
I'm
else
not,
today?
I'm not trying to get you
I
there.
mean, I can name things I'm pissed off about in the world, but I'm not going to. So I am happy until you're making me think about things.
Well, NBA free agency does start coming up tomorrow. Will we have any fireworks on day one? I don't know. I don't feel like there are going to be anything. You just don't have a ton of teams with cap space, but I'm curious if we get some trades. That'd be fun if we got some trades around the league.
Yeah, I think that would be the funnest thing that can happen. Obviously, whenever we talk about the Sacramento Kings, we don't get super excited about free agency connected to them, but you get excited about the movement, right? Because the movement, you would hope that someone like Monte McNair, understanding that the roster has to be constructed differently. Like, what is it that you can do differently or look at after guys are moved?
We have a planned trade to announce.
Oh, do we?
That was the one planned for this morning. According to reports, we do have a trade that went down between the Nuggets and the Washington Wizards. You've got Denver landing KCP and Ish Smith, who, by the way, if Ish Smith plays one game with the Denver Nuggets, that means he has played on 13 NBA teams, which is an NBA record.
Wow. I think some people might laugh at that, but it just shows that, hey, 13 different teams have seen some sort of value in you at some point.
And he's had some spots multiple times.
Yeah, good for him. That's awesome.
So he heads to the Denver Nuggets along with KCP in exchange for Monte Morris and Will Barton. My first reaction to this trade was like, okay. I mean, I really like Morris. I understand Denver's thinking a little bit here. They're trying to save a little bit of money. That's one area I don't love in the NBA. It's like, okay, we're talking about rich owners. Kroenke's worth like $10 billion. Go ahead and pay a luxury tax bill if you want to. But if they're in a position where they think KCP can be that 3-and-D guy, Morris is going to be coming off the bench anyway. You've got Barton, who's 31, 32 years old. He's dealt with injuries. Maybe that's the move you make. I don't know. I'm not in love with it. I also think from a chemistry standpoint, Barton had been there 8 seasons. Just they're changing some things up.
I was going to say our guy J.E. Skeets had tweeted out earlier today. My favorite stat about Will Barton is that he's the Denver Nuggets all-time leader in 3-pointers made with 804. And I know that's just like a stat. It's up there.
Overrated stat.
Sure. But my point is Will Barton has been a part of the squad for a long time is my main overall point. And I feel like that this was an interesting, like, hey, we want a fresher new face with someone like KCP. That's the vibe I got. And saving money.
And I also think they're very high on Bones Highland. And so if he can, take another jump in his second year in the NBA, okay, it makes some sense. So we'll see what it looks like. It's one of those trades that I don't think is like, oh my God, this team won it. There's no for sure winner or anything. I know we all love to try to figure out who won the trade, but I think it's fine for both teams. I like Monte Morris. So.
Do you think that Denver is trying to clear up space for any specific reason headed into free agency? Like they feel they've got a guy or what?
I mean, they don't have money at this point. They saved some luxury tax money. I mean, in the future, both these deals that they landed, KCP and Ish Smith, are expiring deals. So for next year, so maybe that turns into something. We'll see how it plays out.
Yeah.
I do like KCP. He's one of those guys that obviously the Kings had interest in. Monte McNair was trying to land at one point, a guy who can defend and hit the three. He's a guy you like having on your team.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, again, there's Kings people out there that might be like, couldn't the Kings have gotten KCP? Again, an expiring contract coming to Sacramento is probably one of the more dangerous things you can do, and especially what is it that you have to give up to get KCP here? And then you have a guy on an expiring deal, and it's like there's no guarantee that like all of a sudden Sacramento builds this culture where he wants to stay.
Well, Washington also got a good player in return.
Absolutely.
Morris is a pretty good player.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
I didn't even look at it like that. I think Denver too. To me, it's all about intention, and that's what sucks when you're talking about building a team. Is like you start getting in the weeds where teams will justify certain things, but sometimes it does come down to the owners like, hey, like I don't want to pay the luxury tax next year.
Yeah,
find a way to do it. And these GMs are like, okay, and they have a new GM there with Calvin Booth running the show, replacing Tim Connolly, who took the job in Minnesota.
Yeah, well, I'm hopeful for the Denver Nuggets in that they can keep trying to put some stuff around Jokic. I mean, they have Jamal Murray back. You never know what you're going to get with Michael Porter Jr. still. Yep. But they've got some guys there, and if they just fill in those pieces and can like work it with Michael Malone's system.
Malone's going to love having a guy like KCP who's willing to defend.
But my only thing is like, what do you do to make yourself that much better in the West, especially, right? Like,
well, I think it's we talk about with like Sacramento internal improvement to get to a play-in level. I think with Denver, they're like, yeah, we get Murray back, we're going to be in a good position. We were pretty good dealing with what we had last year.
Yeah.
All the injuries we had last year. And then if you can get Porter back, like we feel pretty confident that we can compete. And then you just don't know how things are going to play out. I mean, it's hard to predict. There's always a team that has to deal with an injury or something that doesn't work like we all, think it's going to work.
Like Aaron Gordon. I mean, he has his times when he, lives up to what you would expect out of Aaron Gordon's game. And then there's times where it's like, man, you just need to step up and do a little bit more.
But here's the thing with Gordon. If he's forced to be like your number 2 guy,
right,
that's where it's challenging.
Yeah.
But now, you get Murray back.
The pressure's off.
It puts him in the role that I think he can thrive in.
Okay.
Look at us starting the podcast with a little Denver Nuggets discussion.
I love to hear it.
Mike says the Nuggets team entirely depends on Murray getting back to where he was 2 years ago. Otherwise, they're a first-round exit team. Yeah, I mean, a lot depends on how Murray looks after a year off. And the Porter one is tough. They gave him that max contract, and I I think teams too often feel like they have to keep these guys on max contracts. By the way, we should stop messing around because our guest is here. He's getting loaded in right now. He's getting ready to go. I'm going to wait for him to connect. But Jerry Reynolds is in the green room.
He's getting loaded in. I repeat, loaded in.
We'll see. We can hear Jerry. Hi, Jerry.
Hey, yeah, I can hear you guys.
We can't see you yet. I don't know if you want to be seen, but
Well, I'm not, ashamed. I don't.
I love this
hey,
so much.
you know what? As long as we could hear you, it's fine.
Yeah. I don't know I don't know why you can't.
What, Morgan?
Well, does go down to the video icon for him?
What are you talking about?
For Jerry. That's what I was saying. Not for you.
Yeah, but he's got to do it.
Oh, that's
he's
what I'm saying.
He's got to turn on the video. Maybe he doesn't know how to start the video. I could put ask to start the video.
There you go.
You got to remember, Jerry. Whoa, he did it! Jerry Reynolds.
Well, how was that my fault? That's on you guys.
Oh no, Jerry. This is not.
Come on,
this
dude.
is. No, I am celebrating the fact that you figured out how to turn on the video.
You know what?
That's
Screw everything, Jerry. Let's blame Deuce today.
Now,
There you go.
Can you hear us okay?
that's good.
There you look at Jerry Reynolds in the office. I'm trying to get his video all straightened out on my end. How you doing, Jerry?
I'm doing good. Yeah, pretty good.
I mean, is this bad that you're talking to me 2 days in a row? Are you kind of sick of me by now, or
getting close? Getting close. I can go two. I can go two.
But three.
I could do three with Morgan, but two with you, Deuce.
Thank you. I know. I'm sad we didn't get our time together. But what I heard from Deuce is that you guys literally did a podcast together on the phone,
Pretty
unrecorded, and
we did. We did. It's like, well, that's the thing with Deuce and I. I mean, we get talking basketball. It's it's pretty. And nothing probably of any significance to any other human, but
oh wow,
I enjoy it. I know that I enjoy it. I was so anyway. Now you guys are. I follow you guys pretty close, and the free agent thing was interesting. So I'm getting on board.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Well, what's new with Jerry Reynolds? How's life treating you for the people? Want to know what you're up to?
Well, pretty much same stuff. I just do my walks every day and a few things around the house to keep Mrs. Reynolds fairly happy. The key word there is fairly happy.
Yeah.
I always say, when we got married, I think she always thought she could change me. And she found out really after 10, 15 years, she could. It just turned out that she changed me for the worse. That was, so it was a failed venture.
How many miles a day do you walk?
Well, about 3 to 4.
That's
I just kind of do it on my mood. Some days, if I'm feeling good, I might go 75 minutes. Otherwise, if I'm not in a good mood, I might go 45, depending on the music a little bit, a little Bob Seger will get me going, to the Rolling Stones, or, feeling a little melancholy, maybe a little Duffy or Adele, or,
So you're not necessarily listening to like Drake's new album at this point.
No, I'm not. And no disrespect, but I've got my favorites,
Yeah.
I certainly, Chris Stapleton. I mean, you can't go wrong with Chris Stapleton or Amy Winehouse. And some of those. So,
Jerry, I love your vibe. But you said whether you're angry or not. And I was going to ask what makes Jerry Reynolds angry, but then I'm kind of afraid to know.
Well, just being old. I mean, Jesus, it's the craps. 78. I don't recommend it, except that I'd like to get 79. That's really about it, And I think there gets to a point there. It's I've always said try to, every day, till I get 3 or 4 cups of coffee in me, I can't even hardly, function. I'm just not even a normal human. So,
Well, I mean, I'm a little younger than you, and I'm kind of the same way with coffee too. So, yeah, that's probably a bad thing. I also feel like you haven't really like aged in the last 30 years. Like you see pictures of Jerry. No, but
seriously,
you had like gray hair 30 years ago. So like
for sure.
You kind of look the same throughout.
Well, I don't, but I appreciate. I mean, I appreciate that. I mean, it's like, maybe at 78 I could pass for 75, but that's really the reality. But I don't. That's the positive of being older. You don't really care.
Yes.
Like I say, my wife was laughing at me the other day because we were up top and I went to the Goodwill store and picked out a couple pairs of shorts and stuff that I'd wear in my walks. She said, geez, well, they cost you like $3. I said, yeah, $3.95, and they work just fine.
Yes.
Just fine.
Yes, Jerry Reynolds.
Jerry Reynolds going to the Goodwill store. I love it.
I love this 78-year-old Jerry Reynolds. Just keep this energy.
Thank you.
This is great.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Mark.
So Jerry, what was your reaction to the Kings selecting Keegan Murray with the 4th pick?
Well, I like Keegan Murray. I don't think there's any doubt that he's one of the elite players. It's one of those deals. People they always have their own opinions. Certainly, Ivy would have been a good pick. I think I kind of like Keegan for this team more. I think he's an easier fit, and they're both have a chance to be outstanding rookies. I have a lot of respect for Jay Billis, and I noticed just listening to him on Scott Van Pelt after the draft, and he was saying, he felt that Keegan Murray was the most NBA ready player of anybody in the draft. And I kind of believe that. That would be my kind of stance. Time will tell. We do know, if you've studied the draft over the years, like we all have, is that there's a good chance that 5 years from now, the best player in the draft may have been taken 15th or 20th. Yeah. That's happened so many times you can't even keep track. And some of the sure things will prove to be disappointments. And so that's it's a draft and it's a lottery. So, but I think Kings fans are going to be awfully happy with this young guy. And I think, I just think about anybody they drafted would have worked because of the need for talent, number one. And I think Sabonis makes everything work easier. I think they're so lucky to have a big that you can run an offense through. So whether they'd have taken with Keegan Murray or Ivy or maybe, I don't know, Dyson or whatever. I think but a lot of those guys would have been able to adjust very easily because, he'll get them the ball if they move and find them in good spots, and so I like that part of it. I think Sabonis really is a really good veteran to kind of build around.
You talk about the fit with Sabonis, and then you mentioned Jay Billis's conversation about the impact he can make right away as an NBA player. Jerry, the only thing I'm not, I shouldn't say worried about, I think sometimes fans in Sacramento have these expectations that the impact this young man should be making is like franchise changing. And when I see Keegan Murray, I don't see him as franchise changing. I just see him as a solid player that can just keep growing and getting better and better. What do you see with him in this first year?
Well, I think I would agree with a lot of that. I've always said, I think one thing about the NBA, it's important for an NBA player to be really good, to be really outstanding, maybe even become a major star, is to do the common things uncommonly well. By that, I mean, you take a DeMar DeRozan. Well, what does he do? Well, he gets to his spots, makes 2-point shots. Yeah. A lot of people say, well, but no, he's really good at it, and he's an all-star because he's good at it. Or the ultimate, Tim Duncan, was he the best at any phase of the game? No, but his fundamentals were so solid. He was really outstanding at every phase. In other words, doing the common things uncommonly well. And maybe a third example to me has always been Jimmy Butler, a guy that was late pick, and a lot of guys are competitors. And pretty much being in the NBA, you have to be a competitor at some level, but he's a fierce competitor.
Yeah.
He takes that one thing and it makes his overall game and value much more. So, I think with Keegan Murray, I think that was one of the things that, to me, you noticed right away. He's really good at a lot of things. Now, how well that translates to the NBA, and can he keep getting better at several things? Well, that leads to stardom, by the way.
Yeah.
Not saying it will, but that'll work.
The thing I'm curious about, and it's been a conversation with him, is they talk about ceilings a lot with guys in the draft. Do you think we factor that stuff in too much when evaluating players, like the age? People look at him, they say he's an old rookie. And I'm like, well, he's 21. It's not like he's an old man. He could still grow and become a better player. Hell, we see players in the later parts of their career get better.
Yeah.
Andrew Wiggins, right? Situation. Yeah. Well, he turns out he was an instrumental piece to a championship team. But what do you make of age and ceiling when it comes to prospects?
Well, I think the age thing is overdone because we too much assume that a 19-year-old is going to get consistently better, and a lot of times they don't. Or a 22-year-old is going to get better. They don't over the years. I would say, like in Keegan's case, he's the same age basically as Michael Jordan was when he came to the league. He really turned out good, I thought. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Larry Bird, they were basically that age. Would you not draft them because they were that age?
Right.
And, that makes no sense. It's like, well, if he's really good, he should have 12, 13 years. I don't know how many Kings fans are worried about what's going to happen in 13 years. I know I'm not. I don't know if I have 13 years, but
you've got another 25.
Yeah,
Jerry.
well, walking.
Maybe. Hey, we don't even know if there's going to be an Earth in 13 years.
You know what? Great point by Jerry Reynolds. That's what we need to think about when talking about the Kings. Don't get too far ahead. The Earth could be done.
It.
Yeah,
soon.
So
facts.
We may be invaded by aliens. I don't know.
And if we are, hopefully they bring some fantastic basketball players to Sacramento.
Yes.
And another question about the draft. Was there anyone else that you really liked? Not even at 4 necessarily, just like throughout the draft. Anyone else that you really liked?
Yeah, there are a couple of guys I thought just caught my eye. And I don't study it, don't get me wrong. I think most of the people that probably follow you guys, follow the Kings Herald and James Hammond, probably have better knowledge of than I do anymore. But Jeremy Sochan, I think that's how you pronounce his name.
Sohan, yeah.
Sohan, yeah. I liked him a lot. I just think he'll be a guy that's going to play.
Of course, he went to the Spurs.
Yeah, and the Spurs. Who's the other guy they drafted? I'm trying to remember, but I liked him. I really liked him too. Gosh, now I'm trying to.
I don't know why I'm forgetting too.
Yeah. Well, I've got an excuse. You guys don't.
Branham from Malachi Branham from Ohio State. A lot of people like him. Yeah.
Boy, he really came on at the end of the year. And he's really long. I think he's one of those guys that probably I'd be surprised if at the end of the year you look back and say, boy, he should have been a top 10 pick. The Spurs, that's what they do. Yeah. They draft well, they develop well. There's teams that do, and that's certainly what the Kings need to get better at, for sure.
Yeah, I think one thing that surprised me with the Kings on draft night was them trading out the 37th pick. And I think for a team that obviously does not have cap space at this point, getting a player in that range or, trying to trade up whatever, but you had the 37th pick, and I was surprised they moved on from it for 2 future second-round picks.
I was too. I'll be honest with you. I certainly like a lot of things that Monte McNair has done, but I thought that was a great place to take a swing. and the kid that was drafted there, Harden, I think.
Yeah,
was, right?
Jaden Hardy from the G League Ignite.
Hardy, yeah. He was like a top 5 high school All-American, and he didn't play well in the G League, that's for sure. But I just remember just briefly watching one of those high school All-American games, really athletic, one of those guys that had, didn't have the game to match the athleticism, and maybe never will. But boy, I think that's 37th pick. That's take a swing. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But if it does, you've got, whether he plays for you or not, you've got an asset.
Yes.
And on a team that doesn't have enough assets, when you really need to trade and make moves, So I think I was disappointed in that, to be honest.
Yeah. It's frustrating, and that's why I wanted to ask you, because you've obviously been in draft rooms and you've seen this process. And sometimes I'm curious if some of these people are just overthinking things. What is it like evaluating these guys? And are sometimes these people in these rooms looking at all the flaws and not really, not the ceilings, but what this guy has to offer? What is that process like?
Well, you hit on it. I mean, everybody's got an opinion, and and certainly the good, the bad, the ugly all comes out. I think that's why you have to have a strong leader to make the final decision. And certainly, I think for years, Jeff Petrie was terrific. Obviously, made some mistakes at the end. There's no doubt about that. He'd be the first to admit it. But I mean, at the end of it is you can only have one decision makers, and basically, scouts, other front office people will tend to have an opinion about things and bring up certain points. And I think a key for the top executive is to weigh it all, but that at the end of it, you make your decision, and then everybody needs to get on board and say, that's our decision. Yeah. No second guessing after it's done by members there. And I think McNair's, to me, in the draft area has been outstanding. I think I really believe that. Certainly the Tyrese Halliburton pick was outstanding. I mean, he's a guy that shouldn't have slipped, but they stopped him from slipping any further. And then Davion Mitchell might have been a little bit of a stretch, but I love the guy. I honestly think he's the next Kyle Lowry. I think. Man. I mean, if I were Coach Brown, I'd trot his little butt out there and say, "You're out there, buddy.
Wow.
And, you go guard the crap out of them and just pester the crap out of everybody and give this team some toughness it damn sure don't have enough of."
Yeah. Well, what do you like about him so much?
The thing that in the simple terms, and I said this before he's drafted, it just struck me. I said, he can stay in front of you and you can't stay in front of him. And there's not many guys you can say that about in the NBA. Certainly you can't say it about De'Aaron, or you couldn't say it about Tyrese, either one. But this guy guards you. And I noticed at the end of the year, teams were scheming for him. Whether it's Steph Curry or whoever, they made sure that if he was on them, they got him some extra screens, because you had to get that little buckaroo off you. And to me, that's what you want to see. I mean, if you're a coach, you're saying, oh, okay, these guys see him as a problem. Well, if they see him as a problem, then that's a plus for us.
We talked to him on the podcast about a month ago, and the thing that always jumps out to me is, one, he seems like he might be a quiet dude, but you start talking to him about basketball and he can talk basketball all day. He watches film all the time, and he has someone film his workouts, and he watches film of his workouts. And I think I get sucked into guys like that too, because I can tell he wants it. Yes. And that's why I'm high on him too. He has the tools to be really, really good in this league, but he's also honest about himself. He said he was awful as an off-ball defender.
Awful.
And that's an area where he's trying to grow and trying to learn. So I don't know. That's why I'm high on him. He seems like he's very in tune with who he is as a player and where he needs to go.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it. I mean, he became the most valuable player on the college championship team. That doesn't mean that he's going to be the most valuable player on the NBA champion, but it means he was the best player on a champion. That means something. You can't discount that. And last year he got better as the year went. Is he ever going to be a really great scorer? I don't think so. Like I say, I think he's more of a Kyle Lowry. I mean, I think he'll find a way to be a productive scorer. Maybe a 14-point-a-game guy on 11 or 12 shots. But I think he's going to have a good assist-to-turnover ratio and impact the game defensively. And so I think the best is really ahead for him. And if you're going to bet on anybody, I'd sure bet on him. I do. I think the Kings have got a guy they can ride down the road with. I really believe that.
And you talk about him defensively as an individual defender. Now the Kings are, they hired another new coach in Mike Brown, who people have, talked about his defensive philosophy with the Warriors and his team defense and what he can get out of guys. What do you think about Mike Brown in this hire?
Well, I think he was a good hire. Probably I kind of thought they might go for a younger guy, kind of the Ime Udoka, Green kind of thing, the young guys that had a lot of success. I was a big fan of Darvin Ham,
same,
which the Lakers hired. But there's no downside to Mike Brown. I mean, he's a proven winner. As a head coach, he won, and being around Steve Kerr and the Warriors, there's no downside to that. And so I think it was a very good hire. I don't think coaching will be the problem, put that way. If this team doesn't do well, it's going to be the talent factor more important and roster than the coach. So I think it's a very good hire, and the fact that he had success. As a defensive coach. Now, we all know that assistant's still an assistant. And I always say you can't give assistants credit for things that the head coach does, because players know who puts them in the game and who takes them out.
Right.
And that's still, it's not like a defensive coordinator in football. It's just not that way. So it'll be up to Mike to establish that, in my opinion, that, I'll take you out of the game based on defense lapses, not just offensive lapses type thing.
Yeah.
And obviously there's no doubt a key for him will, if maybe, De'Aaron in particular has got a chance to be a terrific defender, but has not been, except in spurts. And so those spurts need to be bigger, longer spurts. And I mean, that's the thing I like, to me, if you trot it out and you got De'Aaron to buy into like Davion, and I mean, you start picking up guys before they get to the line. And I mean, I think they could harass the crap out of a lot of guard lines in this league. And,
yes.
And all of a sudden teams are starting their offense with 12, 13 seconds on the clock instead of 19.
Yeah.
Like we saw last year, where they just, trotted down the floor and thank you very much. I'll make a pass over here if you don't mind.
Last year, how about the last decade plus?
Yeah, let's be real.
yeah, good point there. I tend to kind of always look for something positive.
Yeah.
And Jerry, something else I wanted to follow up on, because you mentioned, you're like, if the team doesn't do certain things, it's not necessarily going to be Mike Brown's fault. And I'm with you on that. I feel like the talent on this roster right now is something that Mike Brown and his coaching staff can make work. Now, when I say make work, people are like, what does that mean? Like a playoff team? No, you absolutely need more talent and star talent to make the playoffs, especially in the West. But I also feel like we just haven't seen a roster managed correctly since maybe Dave Yeager was like the last guy that, understood his roster and was like, all right, this is a fast effing team, so we're going to push the pace. And then that identity grew and it was starting to work. I feel like there just really hasn't been that identity for a while now. And with Mike Brown, I feel like if he could bring that, he could actually make this team legitimate enough to be in the play in. Am I being too hopeful about putting all that on Mike Brown?
No, I don't think you are. I mean, I think that's the reality of what a coach can do. I mean, I don't think you turn 30-win teams into 60-win teams,
Right.
but certainly with good health and guys buying in, and more importantly, the coach utilizing the talent that you have correctly and motivating consistently, they should do better. And I mean, you see examples of that. Like I say, I think there's limitations what you can do. You can't, you can't turn Domantas Sabonis into Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, for God's sakes. But it's just a matter of putting everybody in the right slots. And you pointed out, I thought Dave Yeager, he's a real coach, and he got the most out of really less talent than what the Kings currently have.
Yeah.
In my opinion. And of course, the other example of that was Michael Malone, who's obviously an outstanding coach who I thought utilized his talent very well. I mean, they couldn't run because of Cousins. It's like you're going to play a fast pace with a guy, your key offensive player who ain't going to run. Come on. And of course, both of them for utilizing their talent well and getting more out of them they should, they got fired. Well, okay, good. Thank you very much. Thanks for being a good coach. Come again.
So, the Kings don't, when you look at this roster as it's constructed, I wouldn't say that they have great individual defensive pieces. Like we talked about what Davion's capable of. I think DiVincenzo's capable of some nice things. Terrence Davis and Spurs play some aggressive defense, but it's not a team chock full of great defensive pieces. Keegan, it sounds like, can be solid defensively and probably be a smart player, probably a good team defender. I'm curious, going back to those early 2000s Kings teams, specifically that 01-02 team, I didn't look at that team with great defensive players either. I mean, Doug was an all-defensive player, but it seemed like Mike Bibby couldn't defend anybody. How were those teams able to function defensively without marquee defensive players everywhere?
Well, I think basically, and I think Rick Adelman figured that out quickly, is that one of the best defenses is to be so good offensively that it gives you a little slack. I mean, they could outscore you. And I mean, and the Warriors, as though they're good defensively, that there's a little bit of them, that you're so hard to guard that you can give up a few more points and still win. Pager was above average defender, by the way, and certainly
did a good job on Dirk.
Hito was terrific when he was with the team, but as you said, Doug was the best. But Bloody, average center, and Webb was probably an average defender, maybe, and of course Bibby was well below average. Bobby Jackson was probably above average. So, but at the end of it, their win margin was very high. Well, why? Because they could really score efficiently. And when you can, that helps your defense, even if it's average. Because why? Because then the other team's taking the ball out of bounds all the time, and you get to play them 5-on-5. And that really is, every team in the league is better if they get to play you 5-on-5. And I think that was the key with Miami and Boston both, their defenses, and that's why probably Boston couldn't beat Golden State, because Golden State could go score and they didn't get to play them 5-on-5 near as much.
Yeah. That team defense. It's just, it's like really, like you said, the buy-in from players and the trust and really believing in each other. It's great. Sometimes I think just a casual fan doesn't understand what that can do for a team. You don't have to have these star players if you have a philosophy that works and everybody buys into it.
Yeah, I think it goes back to what Jerry was saying too. I think Fox is the key, because I don't look at Fox as a player who can never be a good defensive player. I think he can be an above average defender.
Agreed.
And maybe it is just putting him in the right situations. Maybe it's getting him locked in. I do think he has that potential to do that. What do you think, Jerry?
Oh, I definitely think he does. I always thought when he was in college, watching him play, that was the thing that struck me about him first, was how tough he was defensively. Obviously not physically tough, but so quick and just swarming. But then again, Coach Cal got guys to do that because he had them. He had them because he knew they wanted to be one and dones, and I think he put a lot of pressure on him. And I think honestly, I don't know that De'Aaron has been under that kind of stress like he should have been at times. To where. So I blame him to some degree, but I also blame the leadership to some degree. You gotta, if it's like your kids, if you let them get by with stuff, don't be surprised if they get by with stuff.
Yes.
And so, I do think the key is De'Aaron as far as turning the defense around, and Sabonis to another lesser degree. He tries hard. He's not very good at it, but it's not lack of effort.
Right.
And so, just by probably helping him maybe prepare earlier or a little bit different, I think, might help him. He'll never be a rim protector, but, kind of keeping people away from the rim would be enough.
That would definitely be a start.
Speaking of rim protectors, or anywhere you want to go along this list, because there's lots of things the Kings need, but what's one of the first things that you want to see Monte McNair tackle in this offseason?
Well, I think they need another player, another certainly a top 8 kind of guy, if not starter. You'd love to get a starter, but I definitely think I think some of the free agents that you guys mentioned, I like Malik Monk. I don't see him as a star, but he's a shot maker.
Yeah.
On a team that doesn't have and he's getting better. He's getting better.
His defense obviously is not good, but you're right. You're not going to check off everything in one player necessarily. Right. And just from a shooting standpoint, he's got some chemistry with Fox too from their Kentucky days. I mean, I wouldn't be mad at Malik Monk. No,
I think he'd be a guy you could utilize. I don't say he makes you a lot better. Obviously, Collins, Atlanta's trade rumors and things. Well, he's a guy if you could get without giving up Harrison Barnes, I think all of a sudden the team takes a real notch up there. I mean, the problem I've had with trading Harrison for him, I'm not sure how much better you get. You're different, but not. Yeah. I think Harrison is every bit as good a player, if not a better player. Yeah. As far as just trotting somebody out there, and Harrison is really good. So is John Collins. The trick would be to get somebody really good without giving up your main assets, so that you really are counting on.
The Collins one's tough for me, and I've been thinking a lot about it. Pre-draft, I was like, okay, I could see a world where you draft Ivy, trade for Collins. Let's see what it looks like. And now you draft Murray, who I think's a 4 at this point, maybe some small ball 5. There's been some pushback on that. Some people think he can play some 3. I'm not totally sure he can at this point, just from a defensive standpoint. I like Collins a lot, but then I start going into this. Do you pay John Collins, who is younger, and you're paying him $25 million per year when you just drafted Keegan Murray number 4 overall? And then in all likelihood, you would have to give up Barnes. So you have a hole at the 3. I don't think you want to put Keegan in a position to start at 3. So you have him come off your bench, and then you fill the 3 with...
You'd have to have a free agent.
TJ Warren, that's a gamble. Derek Jones Jr. I'm not exactly sure what you would do there. And I don't know if it makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, well, I could say that's the contract is a contract. You can't get away from that. I mean, he's a really good player. I'm not sure, he's like a lot of guys. I think he might be a little overpaid. But I would say this, if you had him with Keegan and Harrison, if you could keep Harrison, you got 96 minutes at those 2 positions. That's 32 minutes each. So I don't see a real issue. I think there's plenty of playing time, and I think it probably relieve some of the pressure on Keegan while he's developing, and then maybe later the Barnes situation, you look at that differently as you go. So it's always a good problem to have is too many really good players, and that's not a problem the Kings have had lately.
Agreed. And that was kind of my pushback with Deuce when we were discussing this yesterday. But I also go, would you be willing to give up Harrison Barnes, considering that you would probably have to put him in that deal to get someone like John Collins.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't.
Okay.
I mean, I just wouldn't. I like Collins a lot, but if you could, some future protected pick and, a couple, maybe a different player on the Kings or
Rashawn
two,
Holmes.
Yeah, I mean, quite honestly,
Wow.
yeah, I'd do that. But I said, as far as Harrison, I just I think he's really good.
Yeah.
I think he's good for this team. I think there's no slippage in his talents. And I think he's also a proven asset that teams like around the league. So, you can always trade him if you need to.
Right.
And that's why, of course, that's what I was disappointed they let Bogey go for nothing but money, because he was clearly an asset. A lot of teams like him. And whether he's overpaid or not doesn't, the old deal, getting rid of picks for money. It's like, well, guy told me, yeah, you can't trot money out there with power forwards.
Yeah, cash considerations probably not going to be starting.
Yeah, Kings have had a lot of cash considerations, but didn't really turn into players.
They did get some cash considerations this draft too. So
yeah.
we'll see. Well, maybe can cash considerations play in summer league? We'll find out. I don't know. Yeah, Harrison. I hear you on the Harrison thing too, and the danger I think the Kings are in right now. I guess it's not really danger. I mean, they could extend him at some point here, but he's an expiring contract too. So you don't want to be faced in a situation where, all right, you do hold on to him, and then he just walks for nothing. And then it's kind of the same thing like you talked about with Bogdanovich, where Harrison Barnes is, he's about to be 30 or whatever, but I still think he's a very productive player in the league. And there's going to be teams after him for sure if he's a free agent.
Right.
Like zero doubt.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's some risks. I think in general, teams have the advantage of keeping their own free agents almost invariably, whether restricted, you can't lose them unless you're just ignorant. But even free agents, you can pay them more, longer years, and also, and that usually establishes value. So I wouldn't worry about that quite as much as some people do. Sure, you could lose them for nothing. But you could, you also, there's no reason to. You pretty much know what a player and agent's thinking, and usually, I know this is old-fashioned thinking, but one of the ways to keep free agents, I've found out over the years, is pay them more than the other teams will.
That's true.
What a concept.
Yeah. I always remember the years with Chris Webber. Everybody always, the national media, or a lot of them are just meatheads when you really get down to it. Well, he'll never play for Sacramento, or he'll never re-sign Sacramento.
He's going to the Pistons or the Knicks.
Yeah. It's like, well, I knew pretty much he wasn't, because they couldn't pay him as much. The Kings could pay him more, and why would he?
I guess the one weird one was with Dallas right now with Brunson. I mean, they could have signed him to a 4-year, $55 million deal at one point last year.
Yeah.
And then they're confident they're going to re-sign him, and he's like, "No, I'm going to the Knicks."
Getting money.
I mean, that was very surprising.
Well, it's one of those deals which happens occasionally where a player just becomes way better than you thought. I mean, and you see that a lot too. I mean, where where you have a chance. I always remember the Kings had a chance to sign Bibby at like, I don't know what it was, but it's total of like 50 million, and they decided, well, we're not sure, and waited. Then they had to sign him to 80 million, because he, but that's okay. I mean, that's you take the chance, because if you're not sure, why do you want to do that? I mean, I'd almost say that's in some ways smart. It's too bad Brunson obviously turned out better than anybody anticipated. But I have to think Dallas probably, with Dinwiddie and they'll get some other, I think they can fill that, because let's face it, Doncic, when he's on the floor, is going to dominate the ball anyway. And then, they've already got a big that can help them with, So anyway.
But what
yeah,
do they do now? I mean, you look
I
at
think
the
they're going to
West,
sign Dragic. I think they'll get Dragic as a free agent
but
and
even
fill that.
in that fill, it's like that's cool. You have an older Dragic.
No, I know. Look, I don't think they love that they lost Brunson. They're in a tough spot because, again, the Porzingis thing really screwed them, gave them that money, and then they trade him. They break up the contract in two with Bertans and Dinwiddie. And Dinwiddie had some moments. Bertans, that contract looks awful right now. They're just paying a lot of kind of average players a lot of money. And that makes it challenging, I think.
Well, too, we forget that Tim Hardaway Jr. Will be back. And I mean, he's not Brunson, but I mean, Dinwiddie can do a lot of the things that Brunson did, maybe not as well. Dragic could give him some minutes. So I think they fill in differently, and if Hardaway comes back, they got another catch and shoot guy, which is that they missed a little bit. And certainly getting Christian
Wood.
Christian Wood. I mean, that I think that was a big get personally.
Yeah.
So I guess my thing is, as good as Brunson is, and I think he's terrific, one of those guys there, again, late drafted, way better than a lot of the early drafts. But on the downside, I'm not sure that, the Knicks see him as a savior, and I'm not sure you want to put Brunson in the savior role.
Yeah.
He's a hell of a player, but we'll see if he can, but we'll see. I wish him well. I just, it's a whole different deal when you kind of get to be the backup to the truck driver, but all of a sudden you got to be the truck driver.
And not only that, and then you have to deal with the New York media, right?
Yeah.
And it's like there's just so many things that factor in with that situation. So
we've seen that over the years with various players, and I mean, it's amazing how the media has already turned on Randle, kind of. Well, Julius Randle's, I mean, he's your best player. I'm not saying, yeah, sure, you'd like somebody better, but just please explain how you're going to get somebody better.
Yeah.
I kind of remember that exhibition he put on in Golden One late in the year for 46. I
think with him that I just can't figure out is, so he had the 1 year where they surprise everyone, right? They get to the 4 seed in the East, and he shot the ball lights out
really well
from three, which was uncharacteristic when you look at the rest of his career. And those numbers came down. He just last year did not look happy. And so if they could get something more out, like, I don't think he's as good as he was that year where he was an all NBA guy, but I don't think he's as bad as he was last year.
No, I agree with you there. I think somewhere between where he was a year ago and then this past season is who he is. He's really good. I don't know how many power forwards in the league are better than he is. You might come up with 10, but my point would be, okay, if you're going to trade him, you need to get somebody pretty. You need to get. You can't get better on that team without coming back with something pretty darn good, and I think that's where they're stuck. I mean, you like Barrett, he's got potential, getting better. Certainly, if you get Brunson, you've improved your point guard spot. But Obi Toppin isn't ready to take Randall's spot. I'll tell you that.
No. What? Yeah, there's so much going on around the league right now, which is exciting. Yeah. And just moving on to another team too, like Utah, for example, Jerry. What do you think Utah is going to do? They obviously just hired Will Hardy. Danny Ainge looks like he's the guy that's in charge. What's next for Utah?
Yeah, well, I do think, you're right. I think Danny Ainge definitely is in charge, and that's a reason to be optimistic if you're a Utah fan. I think Danny has proven he can build teams, and he's probably the smartest basketball guy I've ever around. I really believe that. Player and person, great instincts. I see Gobert as somebody they'd like to move if they could get something that fits better. The game has changed. I think as good as Gobert is, it's tough to, I think, contend for championships with a big that really offensively is a limitation, and kind of just limits what you can do offensively, not just with him, but because he's on the floor. And so there's that. So if knowing Danny, I mean, I think he wouldn't be scared to pull the trigger on something that probably gets him going a little different direction. You know, the Mitchell thing, he and Gobert, and I think with Mitchell, I'm not quite the fan of him that I was. You know, he's become kind of a volume scorer and kind of a, you know, I'll do it my way kind of guy. And that'll be interesting if they can get him back on track. I mean, I thought, you know, before he became a real star, you know, he's a better player. Now that he's hit full stardom, you know, he's kind of, you know, to me, he's almost kind of Westbrookian in that sense. You know, I'll do it my way.
He used to be much better defensively. I mean, defense was his calling card at one point.
Yeah, he was just a fierce competitor, and still is. I like that, but I mean, he's got maybe more confidence in his shot than he ought to have. You know, he's like, say, a little bit like Westbrook, although he's certainly a better shooter than Westbrook, but he'll take 4 or 5 bad shots every game. You know, he just will. And I mean, if you could get him down to, you know, 1 or 2, you've made the real progress. You don't want to take his confidence away, but I think that'll be a challenge for them going forward for sure.
I know you have some ties, obviously, you know, people in Indiana a little bit. I was curious if you knew anything about like TJ Warren's health at this point. I know he's practicing in March or April. Do you know anything about TJ Warren at this point?
Well, one thing I know is that I think there were a lot of concerns is like, is he ever going to play? You know, because I think it certainly dragged on a lot longer than was anticipated, put it that way. Okay. So, you know, so I think they'd be more than happy to see TJ move on for sure. But, you know, he's a talent, you know, I mean, he's a guy who can really score. Before he got hurt, he was really in the upper echelon of small forwards. Having said all that, if I were another team, I'd be scared to death to do much for him.
Yeah, I saw a rumor that like the Heat were interested, and then
if he goes to Miami,
Jimmy
he's gonna be
Butler,
great.
the whole Jimmy Butler thing that had gone on in the bubble, obviously. So, but yeah, he would. Everyone's great when they go to Miami.
Well, too, you know, and you're right. I mean, and well, I mean, it's one of those things where they really need offense, and he can provide that. I mean, that is a team. Boy, they get a little more offense. You know, they could really do something, and so, you know, if you're the Heat, you probably would be willing to take that chance. I think, you know, the Kings or Oklahoma City or somebody else, it just doesn't make near as much sense because of the risks, you know. Or Indiana for that matter. I just think they'd probably almost be better off to move on for whatever they can come up with.
Jerry,
same way with Brogdon for that matter. You know, I mean, Tyree Brogdon's really good, but you know, what are you going to do there?
With him and Mathurin now, you have Halliburton and Mathurin. It seems like that's kind of the.
Yeah, and Mathurin's better than LeBron James. So you got that.
First team all confidence. That Mathurin's either going to look like a genius or we're going to be making fun of him for years to come.
Hey, I sure like him, and I do. I mean, I think he's got a chance to be awfully good. I really do believe that. I mean, the athleticism is kind of breathtaking at times, you know, and he can make shots and nice size. So I like the pick. I think he probably ought to just wait a while. I mean, that was kind of one of the mistakes I thought Marvin Bagley made. You know, I'm not even, you know, rookie of the year and maybe MVP kind of stuff. You know, it's like, hey, you know, wait till you've proven you can, you know, be a starter. and Garden, LeBron. He's not the same LeBron he was 10 years ago, but he's one I wouldn't want to have focused on me.
No.
By the way, Morgan, have you noticed in Jerry's office, there's a lot of things that say best Hall of Fame, Hall of Fame. You realize who we're talking
Jer
to.
Bear.
Yeah. Well, it's Mrs. Reynolds she put all that crap in here because she said she didn't want to look at it. So it's in my man cave. So you know, it's kind of the Jerry Shrine, she calls it.
Is your man cave just a closet that she shoves you in?
Pretty much, yeah. It's a little bigger than that, but you know.
I have a question.
I'm proud to have just a space, Morgan.
What's the coolest piece of like memorabilia that you have that like basketball fans would think is really cool? Do you have anything really cool?
Oh, I don't know anything special. I think probably the Indiana High School, Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame thing would be.
That's cool.
Would be probably
Pretty cool.
Probably the coolest thing, you know. And I mean, just being old fashioned, I always thought, you know, really one of the kind of when you go back to your roots, it probably means more. And I don't mean to disrespect anything, but you know, getting have my jersey retired in to high school and the only other one's Larry.
That's awesome.
That really meant a lot to me, to be honest with you. And you know, I know Larry couldn't understand how it could possibly happen, but
what number did you wear?
25. I wore 25. Yeah.
Is there a reason for that?
No, it's what they handed out.
Back then, there was no picking jersey numbers. It's can't get it out of the bag.
They said, you know, I think when I was a sophomore and starting on varsity that year, they handed it. I took it. And
wait, Jerry, what were you best at as a player?
Shooting.
Okay.
If it felt like leather, I shot it more.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
They call him the Steph Curry of his generation, believe it or not.
Do they now?
Yeah, they did.
Well, I mean, it was one of those things where in Indiana at that time, you know, there wasn't football in that high school or a lot of small schools, and women's sports didn't exist. So everything was focused on the high school boys, which I always say in the long run was probably bad for a lot of young people because it given an exaggerated sense of their own importance.
Wow.
And you know, you kind of became celebrities in your area when you're 16, 17, you know, you're playing in front of 3,000 or 4,000 people every night and all that stuff. And like I say, looking back, I mean, I think it certainly affected a lot of guys. I mean, and some of my friends that played, you know, really didn't have good adulthoods because they couldn't get past, you know,
what they were,
you know, you know, it's kind of the Bruce Springsteen's song Glory Days, you know, guys kind of living in the past and can't recapture it. And so I think, you know, like the high school sports in California really much better for more people for those kind of reasons. We're a lot more realistic.
Yeah.
Jerry, were you a shit talker on the floor at all? Did you?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was like Mark Bird, Larry's older brother. I played with. He's quite a bit younger, but he always told Larry. He said, "Yeah, you weren't the first trash talker. That was Jerry." And I told him, I said, "Yeah, I know I was," but I said, "There's one main difference is I really couldn't back it up very well." I said, you know, Larry could back it up. I just talked it. You know, I could talk the talk, not walk the walk.
What high school is that again? What?
Springs Valley High School in French Lick, Indiana. It was a consolidation of two little towns. French Lick and West Baden are both resort, really combined. It's a big resort area, as I've told you, and so still only about 350 people in high school. But like I said, the gym was built in my senior year and it's still there. It's really beautiful. It seats 3,500.
Wow.
You know, now they draw 800 fans, but you know, so things have changed. You know,
sure.
Everywhere.
Yeah. That's great. That's a good trip down memory lane. We're gonna have to see if his high school should sell those throwback jerseys. I'd wear a Reynolds high school jersey.
100%. I would wear a Jerry Reynolds number 25 high school jersey.
Well, you'd have a tough time getting it. I don't think there's a demand. So,
Jerry, seriously, thanks so much for hanging out with us today.
Really, always fun. Always fun. You guys, I really enjoy your podcast, and you guys do a great job. And continued success, as they say. Yes.
Thanks,
and
Jerry.
I'll talk to you soon. We'll have to break down Summer League.
By the way, too, I want to give you guys a shout out on your work on TV. I think you both are really good. And of course, I think you should have bigger roles, but that's just my opinion.
Thank you.
Yeah, with Mark, I got to tell you, as good a job as you do, I don't watch all the time because I really don't like the pre and post. I didn't like the pre and post game show when I was doing it.
Hey, we've talked about that concept before for a lot of teams. So I see you, Jerry.
Yeah, no, I think we're on the same page. But all you can do is what you can do.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Well, I think the challenge for pre and post game shows is they so want to be inside the NBA, and with Kenny, Charles, Shaq, and Ernie,
you can't force things.
It has to, in my opinion, the best shows.
Organic.
It's organic. It's real, and that's why that show has had so much success over the years.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. Absolutely. Yeah, when you get some of these that try to be gigantic experts when you know they're not, or they don't know any more than you do, and they're trying to tell you they do.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
So yeah, I agree. I think with the TNT show, I mean, you get some basketball. Mostly, you get some great entertainment.
You laugh.
And, yeah, you have some good chuckles, and with Charles, I mean, he's one in a zillion because darn well he don't even watch the game. And the only thing I'd say on that though, I would never put Charles on a college game.
I know the March Madness stuff I don't get, and I know his name has cachet, but he doesn't know at all the game.
Get people on there that love the college game,
yes.
and do the college game. Don't put these NBA guys on there. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's why I always said I knew I wouldn't be very good on a national game of NBA because I just don't care. I just didn't care enough about other teams as I did the Kings. So, I mean, some guys can do it. I just don't think I'd have been any good at it at all.
Well,
so,
Jerry, you did some games last year filling in for, and Katie had some things going on.
Yeah. Well, I was glad I could. I mean, Katie's just a wonderful person, and so she had some tough stuff. So, and it was fun, working with Mark Jones, who's a real pro, no question. But doing it from the studio
that was weird, right?
It was weird. I was surprised that we didn't kind of talk over each other a little more than we did. I mean, of course, he's a real pro, but it was fun. I wouldn't, like I say, 2 games is plenty.
Yeah,
2 games is plenty.
You did it for a long time, Jerry. You deserve the 4-mile walks every day and time in Tahoe. So. Well, Jerry, we'll do this again soon, man. It was good chatting with you.
Anytime. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. That's the one and only Jerry Reynolds. Always good having him on the podcast. He is just
fills my soul.
Yeah.
Fills my soul.
And just a great person. And there's some young Kings fans who, don't know a ton about him from over the years, but what you need to know about Jerry is just the nicest guy. I mean, he is the same on a podcast as he is in person, treats everybody the same. He's a good one. He's one of those men in this business that made me feel comfortable right away. Again, I've told Deuce this the other day. The other day in the Mike Brown press conference, me and Sarah Hodges are the only women media members in the effing room. That's got to change. But what's so great is when you have guys like Jerry Reynolds, like Deuce Masons, like Jason Ross's, that just treat you the same and make you feel so comfortable and welcome. And Jerry's always been like that. And Gary Gerald is on that list. Who else are you forgetting? Shots fired? There's definitely other people. I'm just mentioning the people that have been so close to me. I'm kidding. We got more coming up on the podcast. We should mention that today's podcast presented by our friends over at East Sac Fitness. If you want a great workout, you got to check it out. I tried something new last week when I was there before I got sick. Went to the sauna after my workout. Oh, was that your first time in the recovery room? And the first time in the recovery room. They got the cold plunge. You got the sauna. I went in there. East Sac Fitness, if you're trying to get in shape, a nice local gym. They got a ton of room there. It's not like your big box gyms, okay? Seems like everyone there knows each other. You can go and take one of their functional fitness classes. You're going to do it safely. They break it all down for you. You could take a yoga class, a spin class, It's amazing. You got to check out ESAC Fitness.
Yeah, one of my favorite things too, Deuce, is like, hey, it feels like you know everyone there. But what's so great is that if your bit at a gym is like, I don't talk to people,
That's my
you don't
bit.
have to talk to people. That's what's so great. It's like, give them a hi, you understand, there's the mutual respect, boom, get to work.
I'm a huge dick at the gym.
Well,
I shouldn't say that. I'm not. If you say something to me, I'll talk back. But
no, you're just on a mission,
I
man.
am definitely not there to socialize with you.
I'm on a mission.
I am there to work out.
Yep.
But anyway, check out esacfitness.com and don't say hi to me if you see me there. Also presented today by Joey Reagan over at Lion Real Estate.
Gotta love Joey Reagan. And you know what I love too right now? Joey is doing such a fantastic job with his social media content. He's been putting out a lot of different things, not only about himself, so people can learn more like, hey, like this is me in Sacramento and this is what I love. If you're about this kind of life, I can help you buy or sell your home in this area and show you this type of life. So if you're looking to buy or sell a home, Joey Reagan's the best person to talk to because you can just build a relationship with him. And make sure to check out all of his social as well and see everything that's going on in Sacramento.
You can find all of those links on his website, JRagan, that's RAGAN.GoLion.com. He's helped one of our podcast listeners move from across the country to Sacramento. You can go to his website there. You can also hit him up on his cell phone at 916-412-4592, 916-412-4592. That's license number 02128070. Also presented today by our friends over at Seasons Coffee Roasters.
Oh my God, thank God for this coffee.
Who likes local coffee?
Me.
Who hates shit coffee?
Me.
Yeah, us. So if you like local coffee and you want it delivered right to your door, we encourage you to check out Seasons Coffee Roasters. They're big Kings fans, and you can go to their website, seasonscoffeeroasters.com. Use promo code DeuceBags. That's DeuceBags. It'll save you 10% off. You can get beans delivered to your house. They're bold crew. God, I love the cold brew coffee. Get it delivered right to your door. Seasonscoffeeroasters.com, the official coffee roasters of the Deuce and Mo podcast.
Nom.
We talked about Jerry Reynolds being on the show, Morgan. Something we have not mentioned. This is for the ultimate nerds out there.
Ooh.
Kings California Classic roster has been unveiled.
Everyone's been waiting for it, and I love what we're seeing, dude. Well, you know, it's funny. I say I love what we're seeing, and I'm joking, but at the same time, just from a G League standpoint, I love a Day Murky. I love DJ Stewart. You know, Matt Coleman was on there. So
yeah, let's go over some of the names instead of just rattling off a few.
I was just mentioning the why I was actually nerdily excited.
I'm sorry, what did you just say?
Nerdily.
That's not a. It's
I
not
don't
a
think
word.
it is a word either.
Nerdily.
Yeah, I was just saying like I was nerdy excited, you know, but I was just like trying to put it to work, and so I don't know why we're in this like have to put Morgan down when she's happy mode, but we're gonna stop it and nip it in the butt right now. Thank you. Now you can go over the roster.
This roster is subject to change with notice. This is as of June 29th, and Neemias Queta will be on the Summer League roster. The Kings did offer him a two-way qualifying offer today. So he will be on the roster. A couple other names, Keon Ellis, who the Kings also signed to a two-way contract after the draft. He will be there. Yes, Keegan Murray. DJ Stewart, as Morgan mentioned, he was on the Stockton Kings G League roster last year, along with a Day Murky. Other names that jump out, Sean McDermott is one just because he was on a two-way contract with the Memphis Grizzlies last year. So we'll see what that all looks like. Matt Coleman, as Morgan mentioned. So we'll see how it all comes together. Obviously, we're all eager to watch Keegan Murray.
Yeah.
And the first chance is at the California Classic.
Yeah, excited for it. Just like you said, it's nothing. I don't have a whole bunch of expectations. I'm actually excited to watch the Warriors as well in the California Classic because they got some of their guys playing. And what?
Morgan's excited to watch the Warriors, guys. How's that make
Huge
you
Warriors
feel?
fan over here. Just huge.
We appreciate everyone being here, too. Another thing you could do before you get on out of here today is make sure to hit the thumbs up button. I'm looking right now. That should be at 200.
Let's go.
Can I be honest?
What?
Offended. I'm offended
So
at the thumbs
I'm
up
not
right now.
offended.
I am literally offended. This is not about making me feel
Literally.
good. It's about growing the channel.
Well, wait, if it's
Or they
not
don't
about
go-
making you feel good, then why would you be offended?
I'm offended because they're sitting there going, I'm not hitting thumbs up.
Is that what
That's what I feel like. That's what I feel like
appreciate
at
the
this
people
point.
hitting the thumbs up right now and that uncrossed their arms and decided, all right, I'll hit that thumbs up for Deuce and Mo. Appreciate you, deuce bags and morons.
Also, make sure to subscribe like our guy John did about an hour ago. And shout out to Carlos who donated money. He says, what do we need to bring Sasha to what do we need to do to bring Sasha to Sacktown? I don't know what that contract situation looks like because he needs a buyout from his team in the Euro League. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's weird because trying to read Monte McNair at times is really challenging.
Don't do it.
Typically, if you made a trade like the Kings did on draft day where they trade the 49, they get cash and Sasha, you're thinking, okay, that's just like a pure cash deal, right? Like you're selling a pick. Which technically they did. They sold the pick. They got cash back, but they got the rights to a player. So usually the player never gets brought up again, right? It's like, this guy's just overseas. We just did a transaction.
Yeah.
But then Monty made a point twice after the draft.
To talk about how talented he is.
Yeah. So either that's him just like saying that, or it's, no, they're really interested in trying to bring him over. But the complications there are just like, what can you do? Like if he's a 26-year-old guy who's getting significant run in the Euro Leagues, having good success near home, what would it take for him to make the jump to the NBA and, his role be shifted with the Sacramento Kings? Would the Kings be the right fit for him? Those are all things he's got to consider. Right?
There's a lot to consider there, but at the same time, there's not clarity there either. So we're not going to spend a whole bunch of time speculating on what it could be until something else gets reported.
We should also remind you guys, we are going to be live for our NBA free agency watch party. I'm going to make something perfectly clear. This is not Deuce Mason hyping free agency up as if there's going to be a ton of fireworks in Sacramento. We're not doing this because we're going, Kings are going to they're signing this guy to the mid-level, using their biannual. They're doing this. I'm not hyping it up. So don't be mad at me and Morgan if nothing happens in NBA free agency. Here's what I could tell you.
I didn't do it.
If we were not live for NBA free agency, this is me. I'm on my phone. I got computer going. I'm tweeting. I'm reading. I might as well just do that live and react with you guys and talk about these deals as they happen. That's why we're going to be live for NBA free agency.
It's more fun to do that with a group of people than to just do it by yourself, which I feel like you do all the time anyway, probably, huh?
No.
Like, I feel like you should just stream your entire life.
I could.
Yeah.
I'm I got my Discord crew.
I know, dude. If
What
you
you know
guys,
about my Discord
If you
crew?
guys are just loving this community too and you want to be with it 24/7, make sure to get into our Discord community. It's just fantastic. I don't chime in as much as Deuce does, but I'm always lurking. And I just love the Deuce Bags and Morons communicating 24/7 about the Sacramento Kings. It's so fun.
Also, Chewy in the chat says, you guys going to join our purple bus to the California Classic. I mentioned this at the start. A lot of people asking if we're going to be at the California Classic at Chase Center. We will not. Taking some days off before we head to Vegas for Summer League. So, no, we will not be at the California Classic. I'll be watching the games. But I know that Top Shot crew.
Whoop, whoop.
The Kings, by the way, Kings fans have probably the best Top Shot community in the NBA.
Absolutely.
They're pretty engaged, so it's cool to see. I met those guys. God, when did I meet them? Was that the end of the season? They did a big thing there. I'm about to cough.
Either way, it's funny. I just noticed them on Twitter today, and I was like, oh, I gotta follow them. I don't know why I hadn't seen it before, but so cool beans.
Well, that's gonna do it for the audio portion. We're gonna hang out for a few with the video people on Twitch and YouTube. We love you guys, but we got to go.
You all have a wonderful rest of your day. See ya.
Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo. They tell you what they know. Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo. The podcast that you know. Deuce and Mo.
All right, video people, let's hang out with you guys on YouTube and Twitch for a bit. We can keep chatting. You know, I just like to end the audio portion at some point because, you know, people are like, God, do I want to listen to 7 hours of these clowns?
Hey.
Will you guys stay and broadcast all the way through at Summer League? No. So we're going to be at Summer League July 8th through the 11th. We'll be there for the games on the 9th and the 10th. We definitely have goals of things we want to do there. It's still trying to work everything out. You know, we have goals and trying to land some cool interviews that we could share at the time or when we get back. As far as live content, once we get back from Summer League, we'll definitely hop on and do some Summer League watch parties on playback and then do additional podcasts like we usually do.
Yeah. It's going to be a fun and different couple of weeks of content that's just going to be, just as much, but it's just going to be on different days as you see. Because, even July 4th, it falls on a Monday. So it's like, obviously, we won't be going then.
The biggest holiday is the 6th of July. That's what some people are
Wow, what's
telling
on
me.
the 6th? Tell me.
This dude right here. It's the day I arrived on this earth.
He is here.
Deuce, bring Chris Haynes on again. Yeah, we can definitely get some of these heavy hitters on for guest spots during Summer League. We're bringing our equipment. It's not going to be live stuff. We're not going to be doing it because we cannot bank on, the Aria's Wi-Fi network or these, Thomas and Max Center Wi-Fi. So we'll be doing some recorded stuff, but I'm hoping we get some good stuff, whether it's NBA personalities. We're scheduled to talk to Scoot Henderson, who is projected to be top 5 pick next year.
Yeah. So excited. If
things can change in mock drafts.
Yeah,
but
and things can change in a mock draft and things can change in people's schedules. And that's why, you just feel it out and see how everyone is with their timing.
Just to be completely transparent, I would 100% love for us to get to chat with Mike Brown, some of the Kings assistant coaches. Jordy Fernandez would be really good to talk to.
Yeah.
Be great to talk to Keegan. We have goals. Some of it.
We have goals.
Some of it can be challenging. We'll see, though. Let's see what else we got in the chat. Looking forward to more content. Appreciate you, Dr. Nesto. Let's see. Sorry I missed some of your questions, NBA Rig, for Jerry. Chewy says you're doing it right those days. Top Shot isn't going until the 14th through the 17th. Yeah, I always like going in the beginning. Could I survive that long in Vegas the whole time? I probably could if for me, I'm not a big Vegas guy.
You're not thinking about the food, the amount of money we're going to be spending on just food, dudes. It's going to be $25 a breakfast just for Starbucks breakfast.
Hashtag tax write-off. Yeah. I just like watching basketball. When I go to Vegas, to me, it's not about oh my God, I'm going to hit the pool this day. We're going to the club after. DJ Pauly D's in town. That's not really me. I'll be out late with some, trying to build relationships in the biz and stuff, but that's about it.
Yeah. No, I'm excited for that.
Lizzie says, notice that Jerry liked Monk. Yeah, I think a lot of people like Malik Monk. He doesn't solve all the issues, but he could shoot it. Die Hard Dylan says, see you guys in Vegas on the 10th. Hell yeah. Yeah, if you guys are going down to Vegas, let us know. I know my guy Murph Dog, too. Crap, I just remember I did not text him back.
You know what? What's funny?
Yeah.
It's funny that you even... There's so many people that I love that I never text back.
I know.
I turned off my texting notifications because then I just have their text there. And when I have time and I have free space mentally and physically, I get to it. Just because someone texts you doesn't mean you have to text back. I'm just letting everyone know out there.
Thanks, Morgan. Thanks for telling me that. I appreciate you.
I wasn't telling you. I was telling everyone else.
Oh, Malik Monk is a more athletic Marcus Thornton. All right, I liked Marcus Thornton back in the day. It's fine with me. Can we get to 200 thumbs up before we get on out of here? Let's see how we're doing on subs too. We should be inching up. Yep. All right. We did inch up today. I like it. Good. Also, I put a poll question out. Will the Kings make a trade before free agency, Morgan?
Will the Kings make
a trade before free agency?
Oh my God. Okay, good. I'm glad. It's close though.
53% of the people say, I don't see it. 47% say yes.
I don't see it either.
Go ahead.
The Harrison Barnes thing, you and I, and like even just talking to Jerry a little bit more about it, and it's like, dude, if you go into the season and he shits the bed a little bit and he's on that expiring deal and he has no intentions of extending, it would be really shitty to just lose this valuable asset for nothing. But at the same time, is there more going on behind the scenes where you feel like there's a better feel of like, yeah, no, he wants to be here. Mike Brown, he understands his role with this team compared to other teams. I don't know.
I'm guessing I don't know.
I know.
I think if you're Harrison Barnes, like, you probably want to test free agency potentially. I mean, I would if I were him. He had that run with Golden State, and then you had Dallas and Sacramento, where he didn't win in Dallas, hasn't won a ton in Sac. I mean, maybe he could go join a contender. And
he just had a kid, and the only reason why I mention any of this is just because, like, I like to throw everything out there. He just had a kid. His wife has a business in Oakland, and so like they have ties to Northern California too. So I go, I don't know.
I'm not really concerned with Harrison Barnes' free agency at this point.
Okay.
So, he's on the team now. So
he's on the team now.
But I don't think you're not getting John Collins, in my opinion, without giving up Harrison Barnes. So.
I agree.
KK97 just subscribed on Twitch 5 months in a row. Says, love the podcast. Keep on grinding. I will. KK97. Is it better to trade before free agency or during, with the flurry of moves expected to happen? Wouldn't it be better to get in front of it? I mean, I don't know. It just depends on what's out there. I don't know. I think the Kings have some moves that have to be made. I think they have far too many centers at this point. I don't know. I'd like to see some moves for sure. Give me some trades. But I also, trades can happen in the middle of the summer. They can happen in August. They can happen right before the season. So we'll see. I don't anticipate like anything crazy happening day one. Did you guys see the Bleacher Report Fox scenario?
I did.
What was it?
I sent it to you.
I got to be honest, when Bleacher Report posts like trade ideas, they don't mean anything to me. Is that rude?
No,
or
that's not rude. So here it is. Take a look. Right there.
4 realistic star trades after the draft. Knicks get De'Aaron Fox. Kings get Barrett Rose and 2 2023 first-round picks. Yeah, I mean, you get old man Rose, so that means you're giving Davion the keys to the point guard spot, and you get 2 2023 first-round picks. Where are those picks slotted? Are those the picks they just got? Like, where are those at? But also, like, that trade's just not happening. Like, they're getting Jalen Brunson. I mean, I also think, like, if you're the Knicks, like, you get De'Aaron Fox, but you give up, like, they're trying to add talent to their team, not get rid of young talent. So I don't. Yeah, obviously that trade would not happen.
There you go.
Yeah,
you got your answer. Yeah, it was funny though when I saw it. De'Aaron Fox is the first graphic on there and everything, and it's always interesting whenever you see Kings.
I don't. They're stupid trade ideas. Some like Bleacher Report content guy sitting in his office coming up with ideas. I mean,
be nice.
Would you rather trade for Collins or Tobias Harris? Collins is younger with a better contract, but comes with injury concerns. Harris' contract is a lot to stomach, but he's healthy. He's more consistent and healthy. I would go with John Collins. 25 mil. Again, John Collins isn't perfect by any means, but I look at him as a guy who could step out, hit the three, rim runner, athletic. The one area with Collins that does concern me is like, why doesn't he like playing with Trey? Like, you would think that chemistry should be legit, right? Like a guy runs some pick and roll with. I don't know. Like, is John Collins cool? Because if John Collins comes to Sacramento, it's not like his role changes where all of a sudden he's the number 2 in Sacramento. Like, They have Fox and Sabonis. So are you comfortable not having an increased role? Those are things you need to think about when you're trading for someone. Like, where is he at with his role? Does he feel like he should have more going on? Does he want to have that? Those are questions.
And hasn't that been like touched on / reported in the past? Like how John Collins views himself as a player, but it's not like you hear major reports of he wants his role to change, but you heard all the tiffs going on in the background and the chemistry with him and Trey.
They've had some weird vibes.
Yeah.
Trey's a ball hog. Trey seems unlikable. I don't know, man. He's a pretty good player. I don't know. But I do think some ball dominant players can be challenging to play with. And I think a good example of that right now for like someone like Jalen Brunson, I don't think he like dislikes Luka, but he's like, I'm capable. He has the belief that he's capable of doing more, that he wants to do more offensively, and he's not able to achieve that in Dallas playing with Luka. And he can make a case like, look what I did in the playoffs when Luka was missing. Look what I did against Utah. Look at some of the moments I had.
Did you already answer the would you rather trade for?
Yes. Okay. Thanks for paying attention.
Well, sorry, I was getting to important credential emails.
No, that's cool. Yeah, you could have waited a few minutes after we ended the stream for sure. Johnny Do It. Difference is Sabonis is able to create opportunities for Collins. Yeah, and maybe that's what it is, but like, is that enough for him? Would that... I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. The Collins stuff can be complicated. I just don't want to give Keegan's minutes to Collins, honestly.
But no, Jerry even talked about that, and he was like, listen, you want to take that pressure, and this is if this was the way that the Kings went. You want to take that pressure off your rookie, right? I think so many people see a rookie in Sacramento and see always in the lottery, and they go, this guy has to play a lot and be a game changer, franchise changer right away. And it's like, no, allow him to come into this space and like not be put into shitty situations. Allow that pressure to be off with just split minutes. And then if he proves that he deserves more minutes, then like make that adjustment. But it's a great problem to have. Have the problem. Have lots of good players. Have that problem.
I'm mixed on it.
I'm not.
If he's pro ready and ready to go, I mean, why would you commit $25 million to another guy that plays the same position and
valuable assets, and then you trade away another asset, and like it's another player that people are intrigued with around the league?
Yeah, but at what point, like how many years until Keegan like takes over that job? Like,
time will tell. Can't tell you right now.
I just think, we'll see what Keegan looks like in a summer league too. That will give us a little bit. But I don't know. Like I'm cool with just kind of a Barnes, Murray, Sabonis front line is not bad. Depending on what you can get out of year one. Jake in the chat says the Kings are trash. Cool. What about signing Colin Sexton? Coming off the injury, like I just don't look at that as the need. That's something you need. Need some wings.
Yeah, you do.
I like Derek Jones Jr. Derek Jones Jr., spot starter, can come off the bench.
I think you would get
athletic.
Frustrated with him, but at the same time.
Well, I'm not anticipating he's going to be a number 2 option.
Yeah.
I just want him to come in there, run the floor, block some shots, show off the athleticism in transition.
I feel you, bro.
Yeah. Anyway, well, it's been a lot of fun hanging out with you guys.
Yeah, dude, you guys. Wait, sorry, really quick.
God.
Thank you. I just appreciate everyone even just chilling and shooting the shit after the actual audio podcast. So thank you. Now you may proceed.
We're going to be live again at 2 on Thursday. For NBA free agency, round 2. If shit starts going earlier, we may hop on earlier.
Ooh.
But projected start times like 1:45 too. So be with us as we sit here. It won't be. It's gonna be it's gonna be like NBA draft day, where we're gonna be hanging out, reacting to the news as it happens, and our buddy Adam Wojnarowski will be with us live. Someone that has taken the Twitterverse by storm with some of his updates.
Is that what it is now? Gone viral.
Yes. So Adam Wojnarowski will provide whatever intel he's got. So it'll be fun. Thanks so much for hanging out. Make sure to spread the word about the podcast. Hit the thumbs up. We love you guys, but we really have to go this time.
You all have a great rest of your day. See ya!